is going to change the game for you. So let's dive deep into it. Before we start using it, let's quickly understand what Tailwind CSS is. Tailwind CSS is a powerful utility fast frame. Hi everyone, today we are going to make a responsive landing page, and I'm going to show you why Tailwind CSS is the best choice for building a responsive landing page. If you have ever struggled with writing CSS or making your website mobile friendly, Tailwind is going to change the game for you. So let's dive deep into it. Before we start using it, let's quickly understand what Tailwind CSS is. Tailwind CSS is a powerful utility fast framework that makes building responsive websites faster and easier. Unlike traditional CSS or frameworks like Bootstrap, Tailwind lets you style elements directly into your HTML using predefined utility classes, eliminating the need to write custom CSS. It offers built-in responsiveness and customization through the config file and optimizes your final CSS file by removing unused styles. With Tailwind, you can quickly design modern, mobile-friendly websites without worrying about complex CSS rules. Plus, its growing community and extensions like Tailwind UI and Intelligence make development even smoother. Now that you know why Tailwind is awesome, let's install it and start building our landing page. If you are excited, hit that like button and let's jump into the setup. So first open Google and search for installing Tailwind CSS. Click on the second link, which is the official installation page of Tailwind CSS. This page provides different method to install Tailwind, but we will follow the recommended way using npm. So at first you have to create a folder and open that folder through VS Code. In my case, I have already created a folder. So let's open this folder through VS Code. And after opening it in VS Code, you will have to open the terminal like this and write here npm init -y. So after writing this command, the package.json will be installed. And after this, let's go to the web page and copy this first command and let's paste this command in this terminal. So it will take time to install the packages. So after installing the packages, let's head back to the web page and copy this second command and paste it in your terminal like this. The packages has been installed. And let me remind you that before installing Tailwind CSS, you must have installed Node.js in your computer. You can install it from any website, just install the latest version. So after this, let's go to the web page and let's copy these modules. So at first we need to create a new folder named src. So let's create a new folder src, and inside that src we are going to create a new file named input.css. So inside this input.css we'll paste these modules like this. So after this we will have to create an index.html file. So let's create index.html file, index.html like this, and let's link the css. So inside href we are going to write /src/output.css. So after writing this, you will have to go to tailwind.config.js, and inside the content you will have to write *curly braces html,js. So after writing this, you will have to install a VS Code extension. So in my case, I have already installed that extension named Tailwind CSS Intelligence. So you will have to install this extension. So after installing this, you go to index.html file and let's create a dummy code. So let's write something here and let's style it through class. So let's add background red. So after writing this, let's go to web page and copy this command like this. So after copying the command, let's go to package.json And inside this scripts object, let's create another key named build, like this, and let's give it a value of this command. So after adding this, go to the terminal like this, and you will have to write npm run build. So it has shown some error, so let's remove this comma and save this, and again we will write npm run build. And now we will open this file from live server. So as you can see, the style has been applied to our paragraph tag. So in this way you can install Tailwind CSS. And now let's dive into our project. So at first we are going to create a navbar. So let's dive deep into it. So let's create our navbar. For navbar we need to create a nav tag like this, and we need to add a Tailwind utility class. So for visualization purpose, we are going to add a border to it, border 2 and border black. Now this property in Tailwind CSS means that it will add the border of 2 pixels solid black to this navbar. So before styling, I want to say that we are going to use the MD prefix a lot. So at first, let me explain what does MD do. So in Tailwind CSS, MD means apply this style only when the screen is at least 768 pixel wide. Meaning that every style we are going to write after the MD prefix will apply only to the desktop sizes. And for normal styling without any prefixes, it will apply to the mobile sizes. So at first we are going to write width of 357 pixel and MD width of 1170 pixel. Now as you can see, the width of our navbar in desktop is way more larger. It is almost 1170 pixel. And let me show you the mobile size also through the console. So here you can see the navbar size is the 357 pixel wide. So moving on, we are going to add a height of 50 pixel. The height is 50 pixel just on small screens. And then for desktop size, we are going to add height of 60 pixel. So as you can see in desktop size, the height is slightly increased, but in mobile size, it is just 50 pixels. So let's move on. So we need to center this navbar. So for centering it, we need to write mx auto. This centers the navbar horizontally. Moving on, we are going to give a background color to this navbar by writing hashtag FFFF, meaning the background color will be white. Then after that, we are going to give it margin top of 10 pixel. So at first, let's create the image inside this navbar. So let's create an image tag, and then we have to import the logo image inside the assets folder logo.png. So our image is imported, but it is not styled yet. So let's style it by using Tailwind utility class. So at first, let's give it a height of 100%. After giving the height of 100%, it will apply the full height of the navbar. And then we are going to give it MD width of 55 pixel. On medium and larger screens, the logo width is 55 pixel. This ensures the logo scales properly on different screen sizes. So let me show you how it looks like in mobile size. So let's go to console, and here it is. It is perfectly fitted in the mobile size also. So let's move on and style further. Let's create another image tag. Now this image tag is for the menu logo. So let's import the logo asset/frame.png. So let me tell you that this menu will be only shown to mobile sizes. In desktop size, it will be hidden. So let's provide it Tailwind utility class. So at first we are going to write MD hidden. This hides this menu icon on medium and larger screens. And let's give it width of 32 pixel and a height of 16 pixel. So we can see that it is hidden in desktop size, but in mobile size it will be visible. So let's see it through console. We can see it is visible, but it is styled incorrectly. The content inside the navbar should be aligned horizontally, but it is aligned vertically. So let's fix it by adding flex. This aligns the content horizontally. The content is horizontally aligned, but it doesn't have space between them. So let's create this space by writing justify between. This places items at both ends of the navbar, which creates space between them. But we can see that the menu is not aligned vertically. So let's align it vertically. So we can write item center, which centers item vertically. So now it is looking almost perfect. So let's move to our desktop size. As I said that the menu bar is only visible to mobile size, but for desktop size we are going to create another elements. So let's move on. So now let's create the navigation menu for desktop sizes. So for that we have to create a div tag, and let's give the ID of nav outer to uniquely identify this div tag. And after that we are going to add Tailwind utility class, and at first we are going to add hidden to it. This hides the navigation menu on small screens, because for smaller screens we have already created the menu logo, and now we are creating the navigation menu for desktop sizes. So after that we are going to write md flex. Now it becomes a flexbox container on medium screens, and it will be also visible in medium screens. So after that we are going to give it md width of 59%. Okay, so let me give a border for visualization purpose. So at first we need to add border to border, maybe red 800. So the red border is for the navigation menu, and let's add md at 100%. On medium and larger screens, height is 100%, covering the full height of this navigation bar. Moving on, we are going to add unlisted tag inside this div tag. So at first we are going to give it a border. Let's give it a border of yellow. It will be easy for us for visualization. So yellow border is for unlisted tag, and inside this unlisted tag we are going to add an anchor tag which will create an hyperlink. So let's add hashtag home to it, and inside this anchor tag we are going to add list tag, and inside this list tag we are going to write home like this. And after that we are going to copy this anchor tag like this, and we are going to paste it here. So as you can see, the anchor tags are aligned vertically, but we need to align them horizontally. So for it, the parent element of these anchor tags are ul tag. So let's make ul tag a flexbox by writing md flex. This makes a list item flexible on medium and larger screens. And let's add some width, md width of 440 pixel like this. You can see the width is increased, and the anchor tags are also aligned horizontally. So we need to add space between them. So we can add space between them by writing md and justify between. This spaces out the anchor tags evenly. The font size seems little bit smaller, so we have to increase it. So let's increase it by writing md text 18 pixel. Now this looks little bit bigger, and let's make it a little bit bolder also by writing font 500. This sets font weight to 500, which is kind of a semi bold. Now let's create another anchor tags. So we have already created two anchor tag, but we have to rename this second one. We have to rename it as reviews, and we have to write reviews inside this tag. And now we have to copy this and paste it afterwards, and write here work, and write inside this list tag work with us, which will look like this. And for the last time we have to paste it here and write about, and we have to write about us inside this list tag, which will look like this. Now as you can see, while hovering, it is not changing its color. Now we have to style this anchor text in such a way that while hovering it will change its color to dark orange color. So let's go through it. Now we can start all this list tag by clicking Alt and clicking here simultaneously. Right now I have clicked Alt and I'm clicking like this here. Now we are good to go, and let's write Tailwind utility class and let's give it hover text color to hashtag AD702V. Now this changes the text color to orange on hover. Let me show you a demo. As you can see, it is changing its color to dark orange when hovering like this. Our navbar is ready, but it is not vertically aligned properly. So let's make it vertically aligned by styling the parent tag UL tag. Inside the Tailwind utility class of UL tag, we are going to add MD items center, and now it is properly vertically aligned. Now after creating this menu bar, at last we need to create the login button. So let's go through it. For it we have to create a button tag. So let's create a button tag like this, and let's create a border of border2 and border hashtag ED702V. This sets the border color to orange, and let's write inside this button tag login. So as you can see, it is not styled properly, so let's style it further. So let's make it font. So let's make the font little bolder by writing font semi bold. This makes the text semi bold a little bit bolder, and then we have to change the text color as well by writing text hashtag ED702V. This makes the text orange, and now we have to change the text size also by writing MD text 22 pixel. Text size becomes 22 pixels on medium screens, and we have to give it a height by writing MD H 87%. The button's height is 87% of the navbar height. So let's give it width also. MD width 160 pixel. Width is 160 pixels on medium screens, and we need to give it a background color of white. Hashtag FFF. Now after that we are going to give it rounded MD. This adds rounded corners to the button. So as you can see, the button is made, but it has not been aligned properly. We can align the button by styling its parent container, and its parent container is div, this div. So let's add MD item center. It is vertically aligned, but it's still there is not space between them. So to add space between them, we need to add MD justify between. Now this will create the space between the content, and now it is aligned properly. So our navbar is ready. We just need to remove the borders. So let's remove all the borders. At first we will remove the border of this UL tag, this, and then we will remove the border of this div tag. It is removed, and at last we are going to remove the border of this parent element nav tag. So finally our nav bar is ready. So after that we are going to make the first part of our home page. So let's move on. So now we are going to make one of the most important part of our website. This is the first thing people see when they visit. So it needs to be bold, clean and responsive. So let's move on. So for it we have to create a new section tag, and let's give it the ID of home, and then we will have to give it Tailwind utility class. We will give it border to border black for visualization purpose, and let's give it a width of 358 pixel. This will be applied only to the mobile sizes. For desktop sizes we are going to give it the width of 1170 pixel. So as you can see, in desktop size the width is 1170 pixel, and in mobile size it is 358 pixel. So it is not centered horizontally, so let's make it centered horizontally by writing MX Auto. So it is now centered horizontally. And now to create space from the top, we will have to give it a margin top of 65 pixel. This will apply only to the mobile size, but for desktop size, we will give it empty margin top of 70 pixel. So on larger screens, the margin top is 70 pixels. Then we will give it a height of height of 435 pixel. On larger screens, the height is 435 pixel, but on smaller screens, it auto adjusts. We will have to create a left section div and the right section. So at first, let's create a left section div. We have to create a div element, and let's give it an ID of left section like this. And let's add Tailwind utility class. At first, we'll give it border 2, border maybe red 800 for visualization purpose. And let's give it a width of 55%. On larger screens, the left section takes 55% of the section width, and let's give it height of 100%. Now the height is 100% of the section height. Now inside this left section div, we are going to create the main heading using h2 tag. So let's create the h2 tag inside this div, and let's give it Tailwind utility class, and then we will give it text size of 40 pixel. The font size is 40 pixels on smaller screens, and in larger screens, the text size is 67 pixel. Now this is the first text the users will see when they enter our website. So let's give it a bold look by writing font bold. This makes the text bold. And let's give it a text color by writing text hashtag 2E353A. This sets the text color to dark gray. And at first, let's write something inside this h2 tag. Let's write from. So it will look like this. And for further styling, we have to add a span tag. And let's give it Tailwind utility class. And let's add inline block. This makes the text behave like a box, so we can add a background. And then let's write something inside this span tag. So let's write from vision. So at first it will look like this, but we need to style it. So let's style this further. So let's add a background color by adding md_bg hashtag #ff_e2d2. On larger screens, the background turns into light orange. And let's add text color also. Text hashtag ed702b. The text color is little bright orange. And now let's give it a height of mdh 80 pixel. On larger screens, the height is 80 pixels. And for smooth corners, let's give it rounded 2xl. And at last, we will give it mdpx1. This adds a small horizontal padding. So after creating this span tag, let's continue our writing. We will have to write from vision to, and let's copy this span tag like this and paste it after 2. And inside this span tag, we will have to write reality. And then after that, we are going to write we have. And after we are going to paste it again and write got. And at last, we are going to paste it again for the very last time and write you covered. So finally, it will look like this. So after this, we have to create a paragraph tag. So let's create a paragraph tag, and let's add Tailwind utility class. So at first, we will have to give it text color to hashtag 232E353A. This changes the text color into dark grays. And let's add md text size to 21 pixel. Now the font size is 21 pixel on desktop screens. So let's add some content inside this paragraph tag. So I have pasted this some text content inside this, and it will look something like this. So let's style it further. Then after that, we are going to give it margin top of 6 pixel. This adds 6 pixel margin on top, and let's give it a width of 300 pixel on mobile size and MD width of 520 pixel on desktop size. Now after that we are going to create another div tag. So let's create another div tag right after this paragraph tag, and let's give it Tailwind utility class. So at first let's add the width of 315 pixel on mobile size and MD width of 440 pixel on desktop sizes, and then we have to add height of 40 pixel on mobile size and MD height of 52 pixel on desktop size. Now we are going to make a 2 button inside this div. One button will be only visible to small screens, whereas the second button will be visible only to desktop screens. So let's create the button for mobile screen. So at first let's give it class of MD hidden. This hides the button on medium screens. So let's give it a background color of hashtag ed702b. So let's go to console and see how it looks like in mobile screen. Let's add some text content inside this button. So let's write get started. Now the button is visible to mobile screen. So let's style this button further. So let's change this text color to white text dash hashtag FFFF. The text color is finally white, and let's give it font semi bold. Now the text will be slightly bolder, and let's give this button the height of 100%. This takes full height of parent div, and let's give it the width of 150 pixel and text size of 14 pixel. And at last, for the smooth corners, let's give it rounded MD. Now the button for smaller screens is ready, and now let's create the button for the larger screen. So let's create another button tag. And let's give it Tailwind utility class like this. And at first let's give it MD block, and by default hidden. Now this hides this button tag in the smaller screens, but it will be visible in desktop screens as we have given the class of block. So let's give it other styles. So let's give it a width of MD width of 200 pixel on desktop size and MD text size of 20 pixel on desktop size. So let's add some text content inside this button. So let's try to work with us. So now it is visible. So let's give it a background color. Background hashtag ed702b, and let's give it the text color of hashtag FFFF, which is white, and let's make it little bolder by adding font semi bold. And for the rounded corner, let's write rounded MD like this. Let's give it a height of 100%. So finally the button in the desktop side will look like this. So now we have to create another div tag. So let's create another div tag, and let's give it a Tailwind utility class. So at first let's add border for visualization purpose. Border yellow, maybe 700 like this, and let's give it a height of 90% on desktop size. So as you can see, content inside this parent div is aligned vertically, but we need to align this content horizontally. So let's make the parent div a flex box. So their parent div is this div. So let's make it a flex box. So we have to write flex. Now they are aligned horizontally. So let's add another property which will create a space between them. So let's write justify between. As you can see, the space has been created. So let's style it further. And now we have to give it a width of 150 pixel on mobile size and MD width of 206 pixel on desktop size. but you can see that these two buttons are, it will look something like this. So you can see that. So let's style it further. And now we have to add the text content inside this div after this image tag. So let's add a paragraph tag and let's give it Tailwind utility class. And at first, let's give it a text color of hashtag ED702B. This makes the text color a little bit orange. And let's give it another class of font medium. This will make the font weight medium, and let's add text size to 14 pixel on mobile size, and for desktop size, let's add text size to 22 pixel. So let's write something inside this paragraph tag. So we will write explore projects. So as you can see there, the image and this text content is aligned vertically, but we have to align it horizontally. So for that, we have to make their parent div a flexbox. So their parent div is this div. So let's make this a flexbox by writing flex. So as you can see, they are aligned horizontally, and to create space between them, let's add justify between. So now it is looking good. So let's style it further. And as you can see that the image and the text content is not aligned vertically. So let's make it align vertically by writing item center. So now you can see that it is aligned properly vertically. So after that, we are going to add underline in the text content. So let's add underline. This will add an underline, but we need some space between the underline and the text content. So let's write underline offset 5 pixel. So as you can see, now it is styled properly. So now let's add some spacing between the content and the buttons. So at first, let's add space from the top by writing MD empty 20 pixel. This will apply in desktop size, and empty 8 pixel on mobile size. So our left section is ready, and at last we need to remove all the borders. So let's remove the border. So at first we'll remove this yellow border. It is removed, and then we will remove this green border. So for now, let's remove this only two border. Then after that, we are going to create the right section of our div. So basically at the right section, we are going to add image. So let's add image tag, and let's import the logo. Our logo is important, but as you can see, the logo is aligned vertically, but we need to align it horizontally. So for that, their parent container must be a flexbox. So let's make this section tag a flexbox by writing MD flex. Now as you can see, the contents are aligned horizontally, but still we need the space between them. So let's give it some space by adding justify between. So as you can see, the space has been created. So now let's style this image further. So first we have to write Tailwind utility class, and at first we are going to write hidden. It will be hidden in mobile sizes, but for desktop size it will be visible by writing MD flex. As you can see, it is visible in desktop size, but it will be invisible in mobile sizes. So let's give it a height of MD as 414 pixel on desktop size, and let's add justify end. This aligns image to the right. So now let's remove the borders. So at first let's remove the border of this left section div. So let's remove this red border. It is removed. And at last we have to remove this border black of this section tag. So let's remove this. So now the first part of our home page is completed, and it looks like this. And in mobile size, it looks like this. So the first part is completed, and let's move for another part. Moving on, we have to create another section tag. So let's create another section tag, and let's give it an ID of review, as this is for review section. Now let's give it Tailwind utility class. At first we are going to add width of 358 pixel On small screens, the section width is 258 pixel, which is kind of a narrow. And moving on, we are going to give MD width of 1170 pixel. Now, on medium screens and above, it stretches to 1170 pixel, which is much wider for desktops. Then after that, we are going to give MD height of 620 pixel. On medium screens, the height is set to 620 pixel, so it has a fixed height. Then after that, we are going to give MD margin top of 65 pixel and empty 60 pixel. Now on smaller screens, the top margin is 60 pixel, and on medium screens and above, the top margin is 65 pixel. Just a tiny extra spacing. Then moving on, we need to write MX auto, which centers the section horizontally. So let's give it border for visualization. Border to border black. Now here is our another section. So inside this section, we need to create a div tag, and let's give it ID of review title. Then let's add Tailwind utility class for styling. At first, we are going to give it width of full. This div takes up the full width of the parent section. And moving on, we are going to give it MD height of 30 pixel. On medium screens, it gets a fixed height of 30 pixel, probably keeping things neat. And after that, MD flex. So on medium screens and above, it becomes a flex box. Then we have to write justify between, which splits the item evenly. Moving on, we need to write item center, which aligns everything vertically center inside the div. Then inside this div, we have to create an astro tag. So let's create an astro tag and give it a Tailwind utility class. So at first, we are going to write MD text size of 40 pixel. On medium screens, the font size is 40 pixel, which is big and bold. On mobile size, we are going to give text size of 26 pixel, which is smaller, but it is still readable. Then after that, we are going to give it font bold, which makes the text bold for emphasis. Then after that, we are going to give a text color of hashtag 2E353A. The text color is dark gray. Then inside astro tag, we are going to write hour at first. And after hour, we are going to create an span tag. Then we are giving it Tailwind utility class. At first, we are going to give it text color of hashtag ED207B or ED702B. This makes the text color little orange. Then inside this span tag, we are going to write customer. This goes like this. And then we have to copy this span tag and paste it here like this. And we have to write reviews inside the pasted span tag, which goes like this. This makes the heading visually appealing and emphasizes important words. After that, we are going to create a paragraph tag, and inside paragraph tag, we are going to write read more reviews. Then we are going to give it Tailwind utility class, and at first we are going to give it text color of hashtag ED702B. The text color is orange to match the highlighted words in the title. And then we are going to give it underline, which adds an underline to show it's clickable. Then moving on, we are going to give it underline offset 3 pixel. Now this pushes the underline slightly down, which makes it look better. Then we will add hidden, which hides this text on small screens. Then after that, we are going to write MD flex, which will make it visible in desktop sizes. So after writing flex, we are going to write font weight of 500. This sets the font weight to 500, a bit bold but not too heavy. Then moving on, we are going to write MD text size of 14 pixel. On medium screens, the font size is 14 pixel. It's small, but it is readable. Then after that, we are going to write cursor pointer, which changes the cursor to a pointer when hovering, signaling it's clickable. Basically, this text only appears on desktops, giving users an option to read more reviews. Now let's create our review section. Let's create a div element and let's give it class. At first, we are going to add relative. This positions the element relative to its normal position, which is useful for absolutely positioned children. And then we are going to give it width full. This sets the width to 100% of its parent. And then we are going to give it overflow x auto. This enables horizontal scrolling if content overflows the container. And then we are going to give it gap 6. This adds a gap of 6 units between child elements. And then we are going to give it margin top of 20 pixel. This adds a top margin of 20 pixel. Then after this, we are going to write md overflow x hidden. Now this hides horizontal overflow on medium screens and above. Then after this, we have to create another div tag inside this div tag. So let's create and let's add Tailwind utility class. And first of all, let's give it a class of width max. This sets the width of div to be as wide as its content, meaning it will take up only as much space as necessary to fit its children. So after that, we are going to give it gap 15 pixel. This sets the gap between the child elements to 15 pixels. Then after that, we are going to give it md mean height 600 pixel. Then md margin top 50 pixel. Then after this, we are going to write flex. This applies the flexible layout to the div, making its children elements arranged in a flexible layout. Then after this, we are going to write flex no wrap. This ensures that the child elements do not wrap to the next line. They will stay in one row and overflow if necessary. Then after that, we are going to write justify start. This aligns the child elements to the start of the container. Then after this, we are going to write md gap 0. This removes the gap between the child elements on medium screens. Then after this, we are going to write md flex. This enables flexible layout on medium screens. And after this, we are going to write md width of 100%. This sets the width of the div to 100% of its container on medium screens. Then after this, we are going to write md flex wrap. This allows the flex items to wrap onto the next line if there is not enough space. This allows the flex items to wrap onto the next line if there is not enough space in medium screens and larger. This means the child elements can break into multiple rows if needed. Then after this, we are going to write md justify between. This applies the justify between rule on medium screens and up, which evenly distributes the child elements with space between them. Then after this, let's create a review card. For making a review card, let's create a div tag inside this div tag. And let's give it a Tailwind utility class. So at first, we will write width of 330 pixel on mobile size and height of 210 pixel and md width of 550 pixel on desktop size and md height of 245 pixel on desktop size. Then after that, we are going to add a border for visualization purpose. Border to border red 800 maybe. Then after that, we are going to write a pl 25 pixel. This adds left padding of 25 pixel. And then we are going to write pr 25 pixel. This also add right padding of 25 pixel. And then for desktop size, we are going to add md pl 45 pixel and md pr 45 pixel. This adds left and right padding of 45 pixel on medium screens and above. Then after that, we are going to write flex. This applies flexbox layout to the card. And after this, we are going to write item center. This particularly aligns child element in the center. Then after that, we are going to write justify between. This distributes child elements with space between them. Then for smooth corners, we are going to write rounded 3xl. This rounds the corners with the 3xl radius for a more rounded look. Then for background color, we are going to add hashtag FFFFF. The background color is white. And after this, we are going to write shadow 2xl. This applies a large shadow to the card for depth. So as you can see, our card looked like this, and now we have to add content inside this card. So let's add content. For the content, let's add another div inside this div, and let's give it Tailwind utility class. At first, we will write MD width of 100%. On medium screens, the width is set to be 100%, ensuring it takes up the full width of its parent container. And then we are going to write flex call. Now, instead of the default horizontal layout, this arranges the child elements of this container in a vertical column. Then after this, we are going to write justify between. This distributes the child elements with maximum space between them. Then after this, we are going to write MD height of 180 pixel. On medium screens, it sets the height to 180 pixel. And let's give it a border for visualization purpose. Border yellow 700 maybe. So after this, we are going to create an inner div. So let's create an inner div, and then we are going to add Tailwind utility class, and we are going to give it a width of 100%, and we are going to give it height of MD 60 pixel on desktop size. Then we are going to write flex. This applies flexbox layout to arrange elements inside it. And then we are going to write item center. This vertically centers the child elements inside the flex container. Then we are going to write justify between. This distributes the child element with maximum space between them. Then let's give it a border for visualization purpose. So we will give border 2 and border green 800. So you can see the border has been created. Then inside this div, we have to again create a div. So let's create a div, and let's give it Tailwind utility class. So at first we are going to write MD width of 170 pixel. Then let's give it border for visualization purpose. So let's give it a color of purple 800. So after this, we are going to write width of 135 pixel on mobile size, and for desktop size, the height of 100%. On medium screens, this sets the height to 100% of the parent container. Then after this, we are going to write flex. This applies flexbox to align the profile image and name horizontally. Then this, we are going to write item center. This vertically centers the profile image and name. Then we are going to add image inside this div. So let's add the image. At first, let's import the image from the Google. So I have this link and I will paste it here. As you can see, our image has been imported, but it hasn't been styled properly. So let's style it properly by giving Tailwind utility class. So at first, we are going to give it class object cover, and this ensures the image covers the container while maintaining its aspect ratio. Then we are going to give it rounded full. This makes the image circular. And then we are going to give it width of 50 pixel on mobile size, and for desktop size we are going to give it MD width of 60 pixel, and then we are going to give it height of 50 pixel on mobile size and MD height of 60 pixel on desktop size. So as you can see, our image has been styled properly. So for the name of user, we have to add a paragraph tag after this image tag. So let's create a paragraph tag, and let's give it Tailwind utility class. So at first we are going to write the name, any name you can write. So I will write John 79, and let's style it. So at first let's give it text size of MD text size of 17 pixel. On medium screens, this sets the font size of the name to 17 pixel. And then we are going to give it margin left of 17 pixel. On medium screens, this sets the left margin of the name to 17 pixel. And for mobile size, we are going to give it margin left of 11 pixel. And then we are going to give it font 500. Okay, font 500. So as you can see, the image and the name has been created. So after this, we have to add a rating image. So for it, we have to create an image tag after this div tag. So let's create an image tag and let's import the rating image. So for it, we have to go to assets folder and then we have to import rating.png. So as you can see, the rating image is imported, but it is a bit bigger. So we have to style it. Let's add Tailwind utility class. And at first, we are going to give it width of 120 pixel on desktop size and a width of 100 pixel on mobile size. So it will look like this on desktop size. So let me show you this on mobile size also. So let's go to console. And you can see in mobile size, it look like this. So let's style it further. So after this image tag, we have to create a paragraph tag. So let's create a paragraph tag on another div. So let's create and let's add Tailwind utility class. So at first, let's add some text content inside this paragraph tag. So I have this text content, so I will paste it here. And it is not styled properly, so let's style it. At first, we are going to give it font weight of 400. This sets the font weight to normal. And then we are going to add text color, text, hashtag 454545. This sets the text color to a grayish shade. Then we are going to add margin top of 10 pixel. This will apply to mobile size. And we are going to add font size of MD text 17 pixel. On medium screens, this sets the text size to 17 pixel. And for mobile size, we are going to give it text size of 15 pixel. Then after this, we are going to create another paragraph tag. So let's create another paragraph tag and let's give it Tailwind utility class. At first, we are going to color the text. So text color will be hashtag 6 zeros and 66. So let's add text content here. We will write a multi-vendor site. So it will look like this. And let's give it text size of and the text 14 pixel. On medium screens, this sets the text size to 14 pixel. And let's give it margin top of 7 pixel. This adds a top margin of 7 pixel to separate it from the previous text. So our first review card is ready. We just need to remove the borders. So let's remove all the borders. So at first, we will remove the border of this div tag. Let's remove this purple border. And then we are going to remove another border, this green border. So it is removed. Then after this yellow border, then this red border. Now as you can see, all the borders are removed and our first review card looks like this. So let's create another review card. For it, we just need to copy this first review card. So let's copy this first review card and paste it after this card. So as you can see, it has been pasted, but we just need to change the photo and the person name. So let's change the photo. Let's change the source of the image. So first of all, let's copy this and paste it here. So as you can see, the photo has been changed, and let's change the name also. You can write any name. So I will write Mary 17. So we need to paste it again. First copy this. We will create 4 review cards. So this is our third one. Let's change the image source. So at first we need to select this and replace this with pasted URL. So another photo has been pasted. So let's change the name. We will give it David91. You can write any name. So after this, we are going to copy it again. And for the last time, we are going to paste it. So let's change the image and name. Let's change the source. So at first we need to copy this and we will replace. So the image is replaced, and let's change the name also. We will give it Alice81. So our review section is ready. We just need to remove the border. So let's remove the border of this parent container, this section tag. So let's remove the border. First we'll select it and then we will remove it. So our review section is ready and it looks something like this on desktop size. And let me show you how it looks like in mobile size also. So let's go to console, and in mobile size it looks something like this. So the review section is over, and let's move to next part. And then after this we are going to create another section of our web page. So let's create another section. Here we have to write section, and then we will give it class, and at first for visualization purpose we will give it border 2, border black, and we will give it MD width of 1170 pixel on desktop size, and in mobile size we will give it width of 358 pixel. And then after this we are going to give it MD margin top of 70 pixel on desktop size and margin top of 40 pixel on mobile size. Then we are going to give it MX auto, which centers the section tag horizontally. Then after this we are going to give it MD height of 95 pixel on desktop size and height of 115 pixel on mobile size. So as you can see, the section div looks like this on desktop size and in mobile size. Let's go to console and see. And in mobile size it looks something like this. So let's add content inside this section tag. So let's add some text content inside this section tag. So for the text content we will add paragraph tag, and then we will give it class text to hashtag 2E353A. The text color will be dark grays, and then we will give it MD text. So let's add some content inside this paragraph tag. At first we will write span tag, and let's style this span tag by writing text color to hashtag ED702B like this. And let's write here already a customer, and then we'll paste some text content inside this paragraph tag. So as you can see, it will look like this. So this text hasn't been properly styled yet, so let's style it further. So let's go to paragraph tag and style it further. So I want this text content to be centered inside this div. So let's make this happen by writing MD text center. On medium screens and above, the text is centered. And let's increase the text size also. Let's increase it to 17 pixel. The font size is 17 pixel, and let's give it a font weight of 400. Font weight is normal. So after this paragraph tag, we are going to make a button. So let's create a button tag and let's write something inside it. So we will write a review. So let's style this button. Let's provide a Tailwind utility class, and then we will give it border 2 and border hashtag ED702V. The border color is orange, and For the smooth corners, let's give it rounded MD, and let's give it text color of hashtag ED702B. The button text color is orange, and let's give it font weight of 600 to make it look more bold. Okay, so font 600. Now the text color is bold, and then we are going to give it width. So first give it width in desktop size by adding MD width of 210 pixel, and for mobile size width of 200 pixel. So let's give it height also. So in mobile size, the height of button will be 50 pixel. This height will be applied to the both desktop and mobile size. And let's give it text size of 17 pixel to the desktop size. So as you can see, the button is not centered horizontally. So for centering it horizontally, we have to make its parent container a flexbox. So at first, let's make this section tag a flexbox by writing flex. This makes the section a flex container. Then we will have to write flex column. The child elements are arranged in a column, and then to center it horizontally, we have to write MD item center. On medium screens, this aligns item in the center horizontally. Then for the space between the content, we have to write justify between. This distributes space evenly between child elements. So now the styling for this section is over, and let's remove this border. We'll remove the border, and it is removed. So it will look something like this, and let's move to another section, and let's create a section element, and let's give it Tailwind utility class. And as usual, we will give it border for visualization purpose. So let's add border 2 and border black. Then after we will give it width of 1170 pixel on desktop size, and width of 358 pixel on mobile size. And after this, let's give it height of 600 pixel on desktop size, and let's give it MX auto. This centers the section horizontally. Then we will give it MD MT 85 pixel. On medium and larger screens, the top margin is 85 pixel, and for mobile size MT 55 pixel. So as you can see, our new section has been created. So let's add some content inside this section tag. So at first we will add div. So let's create div inside this section tag, and let's add Tailwind utility class. At first we will give it a border for visualization purpose, border to border red 800 maybe, and then we will provide the width of 80% on the desktop size, and let's give it height of 95 pixel on desktop size, and then height of 110 pixel on small screens like mobile. Then inside this newly created div, we will add text content. For text content, we will need to add a paragraph tag. So let's give it Tailwind utility class. So at first, we will give it font 600, and in desktop size, the text size will be 38 pixel, and on mobile size, the text size will be 23 pixel. So let's add some text content inside this paragraph tag. So at first, we are going to write we are here with. Then we will create a span tag. Let's create a span tag, and let's give it a Tailwind utility class, text color to hashtag ED702B, and let's write new solutions inside this span tag. So as you can see, the text content is in the screen, and let's style it further. Then after this, we are going to create another paragraph tag. So let's create and add Tailwind utility class. At first, let's add some text content inside this paragraph tag. So I have copied this text content and I will paste it here. So it hasn't been styled properly, so let's style it. So at first, we'll give it font weight of 400, and then MD text size of 16 pixel on desktop size, and text size of 14 pixel on mobile size. And then let's change the color of the text by writing hashtag 454545. The text color is dark gray. So I need some space between the contents. So we need to make the parent container a flexbox. So at first, let's make this div a flexbox by writing flex and then flex column. This enables flexbox with the column layout. And for space, we will write just div 5 between. This spaces elements evenly with maximum distance. So as you can see, the space has been created here. Then after this, we are going to create another div. So let's create another div. And let's give it Tailwind utility class. So at first, we will give it border 2 and border yellow, maybe 800 for visualization purpose. And after this, we are going to give it width of 100%. On medium and larger screens, the width is 100%. And let's add height MDH 510 pixel. And let's give it height of 1350 pixel on small screens or mobile size. And then we will give it some space from the top by writing MD 40 pixel. And then we will give it MD 30 pixel on mobile size. And then after this, we will create some individual feature boxes. So let's create our first box inside this div. So let's create the box and let's give it a border for visualization purpose. Border 2, border purple 600 maybe. And then we will give it background color of hashtag FFFFFF, which is white. And then we will provide it width of 365 pixel on desktop size and a height of 240 pixel on desktop size and a height of 200 pixel on mobile size. Then for smooth corners, we are going to give it a rounded 3 axle. Then we will provide some inner spacing inside this div by giving padding. So at first, we will give MD PL 45 pixel and PL 26 pixel. Now MD PL 45 pixel provides a padding of 45 pixel from the left in desktop screens, and PL 26 pixel provide a padding of 26 pixel from the left on mobile screens. So let's create padding right also by writing MD PR 45 pixel on desktop size and PR 24 pixel on mobile size. Then for visual, we will give it some shadow 2XL. This adds a large shadow. And let's style it further. We will add flex. This enables flexbox. And then we will write item center. This centers the items vertically. And at last we will write justify between. This spaces elements horizontally. Then after styling, we will create a heading with icon inside this div. So let's create another div. And let's give it Tailwind utility class. And for visualization purpose, let's give it border 2 and border green 800 maybe. And then we will provide it a width of 100%. On medium and larger screen, the width is 100%. And then we will give it width of 95% on mobile size. And then we will provide it a height of 50 pixel on desktop size. Then we will create an image tag inside this div. So let's create image tag and let's import some image from assets folder camera.png. So our image is imported, but it is not styled yet. So for styling, we will need to add a Tailwind utility class and let's style it. At first, we will give it a height of 37 pixel. This height is for both desktop and mobile size. And then we are going to create a paragraph tag. So let's create a paragraph tag and let's give it Tailwind utility class. And at first, we are going to write something inside this paragraph tag. So we will write automatic meeting schedules. So as you can see, the image and the paragraph are aligned vertically, but we will need to align it horizontally. So for that, we are going to make their parent container a flexbox. So their parent container is this tip, and let's make it a flexbox by writing flex. So as you can see, the contents are aligned horizontally. Then we are going to align it vertically also. So let's write item center. This aligns the content vertically center, and then we will style our paragraph tag. So let's style it. So we will give it text color of hashtag 6 zeros, which will turn text color into black. And let's style it further by writing font 500. Font 500. This will make the font medium bold. Then we will provide a text size of 16 pixel. The text size is 16 pixel for all screen sizes. And then we are going to give it MD margin left 15 pixel for desktop size and margin left of 21 pixel on mobile size. Then we will create a paragraph tag inside this tube, and let's add some text content inside this. So before writing something inside this paragraph tag, I want to remind you that I have created a small mistake over here. I was supposed to create another div inside this purple border div, but I didn't create it. So I just realized now. So let's create it first, and let's give it class MD width of 100% and height of 170 pixel. Then wrap this div and paragraph tag inside this newly created div here. So now it is aligned properly. So now let's add some text content inside this div. I will paste it here. At first, it is not styled yet, so let's style it properly through Tailwind utility class. So at first we will give it text color of hashtag 454545. The text color is dark gray, and then we will give it MD margin top of 13 pixel to create some space from the top, and then empty 10 pixel on mobile size. Then we will increase its text size by writing MD text 18 pixel. On medium and larger screens, the text size is 18 pixel. Now our first feature card is ready. We just need to remove this border. So let's remove the border. So at first, let's remove this green border. It is removed, and let's remove this purple border. And let's remove this yellow border also. So our first feature card looks like this. We have to make it 6 card. So let's paste this card. So let's copy this card and let's paste it afterwards. So it will look like this, and the card is same, but we need to change the information. So in the information, we just need to change the logo and the title. So let's change it. So let's change logo and title. So let's go to image source and change this frame 51.png. So our logo is changed, and let's change the title also. So we will write adding requirement, and then we will copy this card again, and then we will paste it afterwards, and then we will replace the logo again. So where is the image source? So here we go, t2.png. So logo is changed, and let's change the name also. So the name will be visualizing progress. And then we will paste it again. We will paste the card again, and then we will change the image like this, and the name will be better code sharing. So we will write it here, better code sharing, and then we will paste this card again like here, and we will change the logo frame 56.png, and let's give it a name of better communication. So we will remove this and write better communication. So for the last time, we are going to paste this card. Let's change the image source. We will write 37324.png. As you can see, the logo is changed, and let's give it a name of showcasing sessions. So let's remove it and write showcasing sessions. So we are completely styling this section, and we just need to remove the border. So let's remove the border. At first, we will remove the border from parent container. This black border, please remove, and then we will remove this red border. And let's remove this border also. So this section looks like this on desktop size, and let's go to console and see how it looks like in mobile size. So it looks something like this on mobile size. It is perfectly aligned vertically. So now let's move on and let's create another section. Let's create another section tag and give it a Tailwind utility class. So at first we will write ID work. This gives the section a unique identifier. Then we will add border for visualization purpose, border to border black, and then we will write MD width of 630 pixel on desktop size and width of 357 pixel on mobile size. Then we will give it MD margin top of 80 pixel on desktop size and MD 50 pixel on mobile size. So let's give it height MD at 120 pixel on desktop size and height of 105 pixel on mobile size. So the section is not centered horizontally, so let's make it centered horizontally by writing MX auto. This centers the section horizontally by applying auto margins on left and right. So the section looks like this on desktop size, and in mobile size it looks something like this. So let's style it further. Let's add some content inside this section tag. So for the text content, we will have to add a paragraph tag, and let's give it a class of font 600. Applies a font weight of semi-bold and text size of 35 pixel on desktop size. So let's write something inside this paragraph tag. So at first we'll write work with, and then we will create a span tag. Let's create a span tag, and then we will give it class text color to hashtag ed702b, and let's add some text content inside this span tag. We will write os. So as you can see, the text content is visible, but we will need to style it more. So let's style the paragraph tag. So we will add text color to hashtag 2e353a. The text color is set to dark grayish blue shade. Let's give text size of 20 pixel. Text 20 pixel on mobile size. Then we will add another paragraph tag. Let's give it Tailwind utility class, and at first we are going to style the text color by adding hashtag 454545. The text color is a medium dark gray, and then we will write MD text size of 17 pixel on desktop size and a text size of 14 pixel on mobile size. Let's add some text content inside this paragraph tag. So I have copied one text paragraph, so let's paste it. So it will look like this, and as you can see, these two text content are not aligned properly inside this div. So at first we have to properly align them. We have to align them vertically and horizontally center. So for it, we have to make their parent container this section tag of flexbox. So let's make it by writing flex. This turns the section into a flexbox container, and then we will write flex column. This sets the flex direction to column so that elements stack vertically. And then for spacing, we will add justify between. This distributes child element evenly with space between them. And we will write MD item center. On medium screens and larger screens, the items are centered horizontally. As you can see, our text contents are aligned vertically and horizontally, but the paragraph tag is not aligned properly. So for it, we have to write text center. This centers the text inside this div. So now it is looking perfect. So let's remove the border. Let's remove it. And so after removing the border, the section looks like this. And let's create another section. Let's create another section tag and let's give it Tailwind utility class. So at first, for visualization purpose, let's give it a border 2 and border black. And for top spacing, we will give it MD 70 pixel on desktop size. And for mobile size, the margin top will be 20 pixel. And then we will provide it width. In mobile size, the width will be 357 pixel. At mobile size, the width will be 1170 pixel. So moving on, to center this section, we will write MX auto. This centers the section horizontally, and let's give it a height. We will give it height of 250 pixel on desktop size, and in mobile size we will give it height of 405 pixel. And then we have to make this section a flex box, so we will write flex, and we have to align the content vertically, so we will write flex column. This makes it a flex box container with column direction. And for centering of items, we will write MD item center. And for spacing between the content, we will write justify between. And for the relative position for absolute element inside, we will set the position of the section tag to relative. After this, we are going to make a progress bar inside the section tag. So let's make a div. And at first, let's give it a background color of BG hashtag D9 D9 D9. The background color is light gray. And let's give it a width of 95%. The width is 95% on both screens. And let's give it a height of 8 pixel. The height is 8 pixel on both the screens. So as you can see, the progress bar has been made. So inside this progress bar, we have to make a progress indicator. So for that, we will have to create another div inside this div. So let's create another div and let's give it Tailwind utility class. At first, we'll write background color hashtag ED702B. The background color is orange, and let's give it a width of 35% on both the screen sizes and a height of 100% on both the screen sizes. So as you can see, the progress indicator has been made. So after this progress indicator, we will have to create a step indicator. So for it, we have to create another div. So let's create another div and let's give it Tailwind utility class. At first, we will give it a width of 100%. And for visualization purpose, let's give it border 2, border rate 800. And moving on, let's give it a height of 25 pixel on both the sides. And let's make it a flexbox container by writing flex. And we have to write item center. This aligns item vertically center. And for the spacing, we will have to write the justify between. And we will have to write absolute. This positions it absolutely inside its parent. That's why we make the position relative of section tag. So let's move on. We will have to write MD top minus 12 pixel. This moves 12 pixel up, and let's give it top and let's give it top 9 pixel. This moves 9 pixel up on small screens. So inside this step indicator, we have to make step circle. So for it, we have to create a 3 div. So at first, let's create our first div, and let's give it Tailwind utility class, and let's give it a width of 35 27 pixel on small screens, and for desktop size, we'll give it width of 35 pixel. Let's give it font 600, and let's write inside this 1. This is our first step number, so let's move on. Let's give it height of 27 pixel on small screens, and for desktop size we'll have to give it height of 35 pixel. So let's give it a background color. We'll have to write bg hashtag ed702b. This sets background color to orange. So we are making step circle. So for making this div a circle, we have to write rounded full. This makes this div a circle. So as you can see, the circle has been made, but the number inside it is not centered horizontally and vertically. So for it, we have to make this div a flex box. So let's make this div a flex box by writing flex. And for centering it, we have to add justify center and item center. This centers the text inside it. Let's change the color of the text. We'll set it to text white. The text color is now white. So our first step indicator is completed. So now copy this div. We will have to copy this div and paste it 2 times like this. And let's change the text content. We'll have to write it 2 and 3. So our 3 steps indicators are ready. So now let's remove the border. We'll have to remove this red border first. So our progress bar is ready. So let's move on and let's create another div tag. And let's give it Tailwind utility class. So at first, for visualization purpose, we'll give it a border 2, border red 800, and let's give it a width of 100%. This sets the width to 100% of its parent container. So let's give it height, and desktop size we are going to give it height of MD height 110 pixel, and for mobile size height of 275 pixel. And let's make this div a flex box by writing flex and flex column. The flex column will be for small screens, and for desktop screens we are going to write flex row. This will arrange the content in a row, and flex column will align the content vertically. So let's move on. Now for spacing, we'll have to write justify between. This spaces the child elements evenly, and let's give some space from the top by writing empty 20 pixel on mobile size, and for desktop size empty 50 pixel. This adds margin top of 20 pixel on small screens and 50 pixel on medium screens. Now inside this div, we have to make left section and right section. So first let's make it a left section. So for it, we have to create another div. So at first, let's give it Tailwind utility class. And for visualization purpose, let's give it a border 2, border green 800. And let's give it a width of MD, width of 48% on desktop size, and a height of 145 pixel on desktop size, and a height of 150 pixel on mobile size. And let's make this container also a flex box by writing flex column. On mobile size, the item inside this div will be aligned vertically, and this organizes child elements vertically, and for spacing between them, we have to write justify between. This spreads child element evenly, and inside this, let's create a label for input tag. So for label, we have to write P, or you can write label also. So let's give it Tailwind utility class. At first, we will provide font 600 for bold text, and for text size, we will have to write text 20 pixel. This sets text size to the 20 pixel on all screens. So inside this paragraph tag, we have to write name. So let's move on. So after this paragraph tag, we have to write input tag like this, and let's give it tailwind utility class. At first, let's give it background color of hashtag FFF. This will turn its background color to white. And for shadow, let's give it shadow 2XL. This will provide a strong shadow for depth. And let's give it a width of 100%. For avoiding confusion, let's remove the border of the parent container. In black, we have to remove it. So let's continue our styling. Let's give the input field a height MDH 48 pixel on desktop size and a height of 53 pixel on mobile size. And now let's provide some padding inside this input tag. We'll write MD PL 20 pixel and PL 10 pixel. This will add padding left 10 pixel on small screens and 20 pixel on medium screens. So for rounded corners, we will have to write rounded LG. This will make the corners rounded. And for the placeholders, and we will give it a placeholder example text. So our input field is ready. So after making this input field, we have to make a checkbox for keeping it anonymous. So let's make the checkbox. We are going to make the checkbox differently. So for it, we have to create a div. So let's create another div. Let's give it tailwind utility class. At first, we will write MD width of 33% and a width of 50%. This sets the 50% width on small screens and 33% width on medium screens. And for the height, we are going to write MD as 30 pixel on desktop size and height of 40 pixel on mobile size. So let's make this div a flex container by writing flex, and we'll have to write justify between. This spreads item evenly, or we can say it creates a space between the contents. And for centering it vertically, we'll have to write item center. So for the checkbox, we have to create an input field like this, but with the type of checkbox. So the checkbox is created, and let's give it class, and let's write hidden peer. This hides the default checkbox but allows styling via peer. So after making this, we have to create our custom checkbox. So let's make it. We have to create a span tag, and let's give it class, and let's give it a width of 24 pixel and a height of 24 pixel, and let's give it border for visualization purpose, border to border black. And for the rounded corners, we have to write rounded MD. And for making this span tag of flexbox, we have to write flex and item center. And after this, we have to write justify between, justify center. This centers the check mark inside. So now, while clicking, it's not changing its color. So for it to change its color, we have to write peer checked background color to hashtag ED702B. When checked, the background turns into orange. So after this, for check mark, we have to add peer checked after content. So inside the content, we have to write this check mark. So I just got to know that I forgot to wrap these input and span tag inside the label tag. So for it, we have to create a new label tag after this div. So let's create a new label tag, and let's copy this input and span tag. Let's copy this input and span tag like this, and let's wrap it inside this label tag. So it should be done like this. And let's remove this for, and let's give this label tag or tailwind utility class. And we have to write relative. The element is position relative to its normal position. And we have to make this label a flexbox. So let's make it a flexbox by writing flex. And to center the items vertically, we have to write item center. And we have to write cursor pointer. This changes the cursor to a pointer when hovering, which indicates interactivity. So now, while checking this checkbox, the border should be removed and the text color should be white. So for it, we have to style this span tag further. So let's style it further. So we have to write peer checked, and after text white. Then we will write peer checked after text large. This makes the font size larger for the check mark. Then we will write peer checked border 0. This removes the border when clicked. So you can see. Okay, so here we have done some mistakes. So let's remove this column and let's refresh this page, and while clicking, the border is removed. So our checkbox is made, and let's move on. Let's style it further. So after this, we have to create a paragraph tag after this label tag. So let's create a paragraph tag and let's write something inside it. So we will write keep it anonymous. Keep it anonymous. Anonymous. So let's style it properly. So at first we will give it tailwind utility class, and at first we will add font 400. Font 400. This is the normal font rate. And let's add text color. Text hashtag 272727. This gives dark gray text color. And for the text size, we are going to write MD text 17 pixel for desktop size and text 15 pixel for mobile size. So you can see it is styled completely. And now we have to create right section div. So let's create the right section div. So let's create a div tag. And for visualization purpose, let's give it border 2 and border purple 800. This is the container holding the email label and input field. So let's style it further. So at first we'll give it MD width of 48%. On medium screen, the width is 48%. And let's give it a height of 96 pixel on desktop size and height of 100 pixel on mobile size. Let's make it a flex box by writing flex and flex column. This uses flex box with a column layout, and for the spacing we have to write justify between. So inside this div we have to create a paragraph tag. Let's give it tailwind utility class and let's give it font 600. This makes the text semi bold, and let's give it MD text size of 20 pixel on desktop size. Actually the text size should be 20 pixel on both desktop and mobile size. So let's remove this ND. Now it is applied to the both desktop and mobile screen size. And let's move on. We have to write here email. So after creating this paragraph tag, inside this paragraph tag we have to create a span tag. Let's create a span tag, and we have to write asterisk inside this span tag. So let's color it by writing tailwind utility class. So we will give it text color of hashtag FF2323. This makes the asterisk red in color. So after this paragraph tag, we have to create an input tag. So let's create input tag. And this is for email. So we have to write email here. And let's give it tailwind utility class. We'll have to give a background color of hashtag FFF, which is white. And we have to give it shadow 2XL. This gives the last shadow effect. And we have to give it width 100%. takes full width of the container. And for the height, we will write MD height of 48 pixel and height of 53 pixel on mobile size. 48 pixel on desktop size and 53 pixel on mobile size. And let's give it some padding. MD PL 20 pixel and PL 10 pixel. The padding left is 20 pixel on medium screens and 10 pixel otherwise. So for the smooth corners, we are going to give it rounded large. This gives the large rounded corners. Let's give this input field a placeholder. Example text. The placeholder is added, and it is compulsory to fill this email input field. So we will have to write required over here. Required like this. So we have to create a button. So for the button, we have to create a separate div tag. So let's create a div and let's give it Tailwind utility class. And let's give it border for visualization purpose. Border to border yellow 800. And let's give it a width of 100%. This acquires full width. And let's give it height of 80 pixel on desktop size and height of 65 pixel on mobile size. And to make it a flex container, we have to write flex and we have to write justify end. This uses flexbox to align the button to the right. So let's give it empty 20 pixel. This adds a 20 pixel top margin. So there are many borders. So let's remove one border to avoid confusion. So let's remove this green border. Okay, here we go. And let's style it further. So inside this newly created div, we have to create a button tag like this. And let's write next inside this button and let's style it. So at first we'll give it border to border hashtag ed702b. This will give 2 pixel solid border in orange. And let's give it width of 140 pixel on desktop size and width of 115 pixel on mobile size. And let's give it a height of 50 pixel on desktop size and height of 45 pixel on mobile size. And for the smooth corners, let's give it a rounded MD. And to increase the font size of the text, and let's give it font 600. This makes the text semi bold. And let's color the text hashtag ed702b. And let's increase the text size MD text 20 pixel on desktop size and text 18 pixel on mobile size. So as you can see, the button is created successfully. So now let's remove all the borders. So at first let's remove this yellow border. It is removed. And let's remove this purple border. And let's remove this red border. So we have completed making another section, and it looks like this on desktop size, and in mobile size it looks something like this. So let's move on and let's create the footer of our web page. So let's create a footer tag like this and let's give it Tailwind utility class. And for the visualization purpose, let's give it border to and border black. And let's give it this footer ID. We are going to write about. So let's style this footer. So at first we are going to write bg hashtag 499 CA3. And then we are going to give it a width of 100%. This sets width 100% of its parent container. And MD height of 280 pixel. On medium screens, the height is 280 pixel. And for mobile sizes, the height is 400 pixel. And MD 70 pixel. On medium screens, the margin top is 70 pixel. And for mobile size, empty 40 pixel. The margin top is 40 pixel. And we have to make this section a flex box. So let's make it flex box by writing flex. Now this section uses flex box layout. And to center the item inside this flex box, we are going to write justify center. This centers children horizontally. And we are going to write item center. This centers children vertically. Then we are going to make a div inside this footer. So let's create a div. And let's give it Tailwind utility class. And at first we are going to give it a border for visualization purpose. Border to border white. And at first we are going to give it MD width of 1170 pixel on desktop size and a width of 340 pixel on mobile size. And we are going to give it a height of 80%. The height is 80% of its parent footer. And we have to make it a flex box, so we will write flex. This uses flex box layout, and we will write flex column. This arranges the child elements in a vertical column, and we will write justify between. This creates the space between the child element and distribute space between them. Then we will write item center. This aligns items to the center horizontally. Then we are going to create a first div inside this div. So let's create a div, and let's give it a ID of first div, and let's add Tailwind utility class. So at first we are going to give it MD width of 100% on desktop size and width of 85% on mobile size. We are going to give it a height of 155 pixel on desktop size, on mobile size, and MD height of 70 pixel on desktop size. We have to make this box a flex box, so let's write flex, and let's write justify between. This distributes elements evenly with space between them, and we are going to write item center. This aligns elements vertically in the center. So inside this div we are going to create a navigation menu. So for navigation menu, at first we are going to create a UL tag, and we are going to give it a class of width 40% on mobile size and MD width 39% on desktop size. And we are going to write MD at 100%. On medium space the height is 100%, and on a mobile size the height is 140 pixel. And we are going to write MD text 18 pixel. On medium screen the text size is 18 pixel, and we are going to write flex. Now this UL tag has become a flex box, and we are going to write justify between. This spaces elements evenly, and we are going to write MD item center. On medium screen this aligns items to center vertically, and at last we are going to write text white. This sets the text color to white. And inside this UL tag we are going to create an anchor tag, and we are going to add a hyperlink of hashtag home. Then inside this anchor tag we are going to create a list tag, and inside this list tag we are going to write at first home. So let's style this list tag for Tailwind utility class. So at first we are going to write hover, text color changes into hashtag ED702B. So on hovering the text color changes to orange, and then we are going to write transition all. This animates the color change smoothly. So now we are going to copy this anchor tag like this, and we are going to paste it here, and we are going to write reviews in this second hyperlink, and inside this list tag we are going to write reviews, and we have to paste it again like this. And now we are going to write work here, work with us, and for the last time we are going to paste it. We are going to write about in this last hyperlink, and inside this list tag we are going to write about us. And so as you can see, on hovering it changes its color. So now let's create social media icons. So now our navigation menu is ready. So let's create a div for social media icons. So after this UL tag we are going to create another div tag like this, and let's give it class MD width 26%, width 30%, and MD height of 100% on desktop size. On medium screen the height is 100%, and in mobile size the height is 140 pixel. And we are going to create flex. This uses flex box, and we are going to write flex column. This arranges items in a column, and we are going to write MD flex row. This means on desktop size the items will be aligned in row, and in mobile size the items will be aligned in a column. So after this we are going to write justify between. This distributes space evenly, and then we are going to write MD item center. This aligns items at center on medium screens. And at last we are going to write items end. This aligns items at the bottom. So inside this div we are going to add image. So from assets folder, let's import our first image, our first logo, Facebook logo. So Facebook logo is imported. Now let's style it. So we are going to give it a height of 30 pixel on desktop size, MD width of 34 pixel on desktop size, and in mobile size we are going to give it a height of 20 pixel and a width of 24 pixel. So let's copy this image tag. And let's paste it here. And then we are going to import the image of Twitter logo. So Twitter logo is imported, and after Twitter logo we are going to import the logo of Vimeo. So Vimeo logo is also imported, and at last we are going to import the logo of YouTube. So YouTube logo is also imported. And so our navigation menu looks like this on desktop size and in mobile size. Okay, in mobile size it hasn't been styled properly, so let's style it properly. So I have made a mistake here, and I forgot to write here flex column. So let's after writing flex, so we are going to write flex column. This arranges items in a column. So in mobile size it is looking good, but in desktop size it is not looking good. So let's style it further. We are going to write for desktop size MD flex row. On medium screens it switches to row, meaning that it will align the item in a row. So now it is looking perfect on both desktop size and in mobile size. So let's move on. So now we are going to create a divider, horizontal divider. So for it we are going to add a div element. So let's add div element after this first div like this, and let's give it Tailwind utility class. We are going to give it width 100% and a height of 2 pixel on both the sides, and a background color of hashtag FFFFF87. The background color is a semi-transparent white. You can see it here. So now let's style it further. So we are going to add another div. So let's add another div here, and let's give it Tailwind utility class like this, and let's give it a width of 100%. On medium screens it acquires full width, and for the mobile size the width is 85%. Okay, so here I forgot to write MD, so let's write MD like this, and let's style it further. We are going to give it a height of 140 pixel on mobile size and MD height of 90 pixel on desktop size. And then we are going to write text white. The text color is white, and then we are going to write flex and MD flex row. On medium screens it arranges items in a row, and then we are going to write flex wrap. This allows wrapping of the elements. Then we are going to write justify between. This spaces items evenly. Then we are going to write MD item center. On medium screens it aligns item to center. Then inside this div we are going to create another div like this, and let's add Tailwind utility class, and at cost we are going to give it MD width of 25%, 25% in desktop size, and in mobile size the width of 100%, and let's give it a height of 100% on desktop size, and for mobile size the height will be 45 pixel. So we will make this div a flex box. So let's write flex, and let's write justify between. Let's create the space between the items, and let's write item center. This aligns the item vertically center. So now inside this div tag we are going to create a paragraph tag, and inside this paragraph tag we are going to write terms of service like this, and we'll get another paragraph tag and we'll write privacy policy. Then after this div we are going to import the image. So let's create a image tag right over here, and then we are going to import the image. So let's go to assets folder and write group.png. So the image is imported. So this is the logo, and let's style this image. Let's write Tailwind utility class and MD width 60 pixel. The width will be 60 pixel on desktop size, and in mobile size the width will be 55 pixel, and the height will be 60 pixel on mobile size, and in desktop size the height will be 70 pixel. Now after this we are going to create another div. So let's create another div, and let's give it Tailwind utility class. At first we are going to write MD width of 25%. This means that the width will be 25% of its parent container on desktop size, and width will be 43% of its parent container on mobile size. So after this we are going to give it a height MD at 100%. So on desktop size the height will be 100% of its parent container, and let's make this div a flex box by writing flex, and we have to write justify between. This will create some space between the child elements, and after this we are going to write item center. This will align the child element vertically center. So inside this div we are going to create a paragraph tag, and inside this paragraph tag I will paste the text content right over here, and let's style this text content. So let's give it Tailwind utility class, and at first we are going to write MD text size 17 pixel. On desktop size the text size will be 17 pixel, and in mobile size the text size will be 13 pixel. So our footer section is ready. So we just now have to remove all the borders. So let's remove all the borders. So at first let's remove the border of this parent container footer. And then after this let's remove this white border. So our footer section is completely ready. So our footer looks like this on desktop size, and in mobile size it looks something like this. So that's it guys, it's a wrap. We just finished building a fully responsive landing page using Tailwind CSS. It was super easy to style, and now the page looks great on all screen sizes. Tailwind's utility classes made everything faster, so I didn't have to write a lot of extra CSS. It really saved me time and made the design process smooth. If you are working on your own projects, I highly recommend giving Tailwind a try. It makes building responsive websites so much easier. If this video helped you, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'd love to help you out. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.